So let's talk about some of these bands that you played in multiple times, like Sting.
Yeah.
You played with Sting a couple different times.
Yeah.
So what was that like?
Well, I mean, in 2004, I'd just gotten off the road with the Perfect Circle, and I was trying to stay home, and I'd been home for a little while, and then a guy that was managing me at the time said, hey, I got a call from Sting's office, and he's going to go out in 2005, and he kind of wants to do kind of a more of a rock band thing. He wants to do bass, drums, and 2 guitars. No percussionists, no keys, no horns, no background singers, just 2 guitars, bass, and drums. And he wants to play a bunch of old Police stuff. And my manager said, and he's had 2 or 3 people very close to him say, this is the guy you got to get. So you kind of have the job if you want it without auditioning. I was like, oh God. So now I'm freaked out. Like, what, am I going to go first day of rehearsal and things going to be like, who suggested this kid? What's going on? You know, I was going, oh my God. Because what excited me, what also freaked me out, aside from being a big Police fan and a big Stewart fan, was, you know, Sting's famous for having awesome musicians.
That's right.
And Sting's famous for having some of the greatest drummers in the world. So part of me was like, let's go. And the other part of me was like, I was like all freaked out, like, oh God, really? I was up for the challenge. But also a little bit freaked out by it. I went to meet with him. He was opening up for Annie Lennox, or they were doing like a joint co-highlight tour or whatever thing. Annie Lennox and he were on tour, and they were playing in Orange County near where I lived, and they said, why don't you come down to sound check and meet Sting? I was like, great. Just going to sound check, met Dominic for the first time, you know, lifelong friend. And they said, oh, Sting's going to walk over to catering with you. I said, oh, great. So we walk over to catering, and he gets in line with all the other truck drivers and monitor assistants and techs and people, and hands me a plate. We go to the thing. He's like, so you know Vinny, huh? I heard you know Vinny. I go, yeah, I've known Vinny since I was a kid. He goes, oh, we love Vinny. Vinny's the best, man. I'm like, yeah, cool. And we start talking about drummers, and we talk about Vinny, and we talk about Stewart, and we talk about songwriting, and we talk about jazz, and we talk about punk rock, and we talk about all this stuff for about a half an hour. And he goes, well, you got the gig if you want it. I'm like, great, cool. When do we start? And he's like, we're going to rehearse in February over in Tuscany at my estate in Italy. I'm like, of course we are.
Mm-hmm. Where else would you?
I got to go to the countryside of Italy to rehearse with Sting. And so, yeah, it was great. I went over there, and I was really nervous the first day.
I'd like to take a second to talk to you about this channel. This is actually Rick Beato 2. I've had it since the beginning of my main channel, and many of you are not subscribed. As a matter of fact, 87% of the people that watch this channel regularly are not subscribed. So I encourage you to hit the subscribe button on this channel and on my main channel. This will help me get even more of my dream guests and help continue to grow both channels. Thank you.
What's the first song you played with him? Do you remember?
The song Hounds of Winter.
Oh, yeah.
Weird song to start with.
Really weird song. Great song.
But we started, and I was like, oh, God. I was like, Vinny recorded the song, and it's real simple. But still, I'm just like, I'm feeling all the weight of all this shit, and I'm reading into all of it, the history, and going, oh, my God. And just hoping that I knew that it would be good eventually. It might take 5 minutes. It might take an afternoon. Hopefully not an afternoon. I was hoping to run out the gate, have them go, awesome. Instead of like, whoa, let's work on that a little more.
Well, it's kind of interesting because Sting, being a bass player, has a different he's connected more to the drums. It's kind of important to him.
I will tell you, the moment that I did one of these was up until that afternoon, and that afternoon changed me, still to this day, for the better. I used to be a little bit insecure about shuffles, right? I think a lot of people are or can be, right? Mm-hmm. I was a little insecure about shuffles. I didn't want to tell them that, because then they'd watch me play and go, yeah, he's not doing that quite right. So I walked in, like, I didn't say I was insecure about anything. And we went to go play Faith.
If I Ever Lose My Faith in You.
An amazing Vinny track from the
great Vinny track.
Sumner's Tales, right?
Yeah.
And it's so just like I like to use the word expensive. It's just Vinny's
part is so
it just sounds
perfect.
It's perfect.
It is.
It's fucking perfect.
Yeah.
And so I'm going, oh God, Vinny's got this expensive ass, clean fucking shuffle, man. It's so good.
Yeah.
And I was really freaked out about playing it. But once again, I didn't want to say I was freaked out at all. I want to be like, yeah, I've got this. We go to play it, like, fuck. And we play through it, and we stop, and this thing goes, you're the only other guy since like Vinny recorded that would make that sound like that. And I went, oh, thanks. And I turned around and went, yes, good. And that changed my whole outlook on like shuffles and my own confidence when he said that, like nonchalantly. As a matter of fact, that might be one of the only things he commented on that afternoon, other than like, yeah, sounds great. We played that song. He goes, man, other than Vinny, you're the guy for that song, man. And I went, I was like, if you only knew how much I was sweating that.
What's a fun Sting song to play?
Well, I mean, you know, some of the stuff like some of the old Police stuff, like, you know, playing Next to You.
It's going to be so great, right?
You know, Spirits in the Material World, Message in a Bottle, Walking on the Moon.
That's like for a drummer, that's got to be so fun. Those are such amazing
It's funny
grooves.
because it's a combination of things. There's certain things that you kind of got to hit, right? Certain marks or figures.
Yeah.
And then there's certain things that I, you know, interject a little bit my own style into something. I'm not playing every fill like it is on the record.
Sure.
Nor does he want that, right?
Nor did Stewart ever play.
Right, exactly, right? But I'll never forget this one thing in particular. We played Message in a Bottle during the I hope that someone gets my before the message in, right?
Yeah.
The tom thing, and I'm playing it, and we finish it, and Sting goes, can you not do that tom thing? And I'm like, dude, I know that I'm the new guy, and I've only known you for 24 hours. I have to play that tom.
You have to.
Because, I don't know, just, you know, and going, I've air drummed that on my steering wheel since I was 16, as has every other drummer, or maybe even non-drummer.
Yes.
Listen to the song. It's just, it's so cool.
Yes.
Dude, he's like, well, I don't know. And I went, okay. And then, but I go up to him like at dinner or later that day on a break, and I go, I really want to play that tom thing in Message in a Bottle. And I think that he would appreciate sometimes that I'm still thinking about it. Mm-hmm. B, that I care at all. That I'm not just like, okay, I don't have to play the tom thing. Who cares? I was like, I felt strongly about it. It's an important part to the song, and it's almost be sacrilegious to not hit it, right?